Well, good afternoon. I know we're a little bit behind schedule, and I know there's still a few folks that are going through the buffet line, but you know, what I have to say isn't as important as the keynote coming up later, so I figured I'd just go ahead and get started. So with that, my name is Colin Hastings. I'm the Executive Director of the Pasco Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to our January luncheon, kicking off the new year right, and we're going to hear a little bit from a new program that the Pasco Police Department is putting together and rolling out their Business Watch program. But before we get into that, I'd like to invite everyone to join me in our Pledge of Allegiance. So if you could please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Excellent. Please take your seat. I do, before I get into a few introductions and some updates of what's going on at the Pasco Chamber, want to thank Moon Security for this year being our Luncheon Series sponsor. I know Mike's not here today, but I'm sure we'll see Mike Miller here down the road. But we're happy to have them partner with us to help us through highlighting some of these great events that we have and topics that we have for our monthly membership luncheons, and they're helping us with that. There are some elected officials here that I'd like to take a moment and introduce. So once I say your name, if you could please stand up, and then we'll reserve the applause till after we're done. But Dallas Parr with Congressman Dan Newhouse's office. There's Dallas. Thank you, Dallas. Port of Pasco commissioners, we have the trifecta of Gene Reichman, Vicki Gordon, and Jim Klindworth. And from the Franklin County, I saw Sean Sant walk in. Sean Sant with the Franklin County prosecutor. City of Pasco, we have some new faces as well too that are council members. Dave Milne, who is the mayor pro tem, Peter Harpster, Charles Grimm, and Melissa Blaisdell. And then last and not least is Stu Nelson, Franklin PUD commissioner. Let's give them all a round of applause. See, I wanted you guys to hold your applause because I was worried that Stu wouldn't get any, so that's why we lumped them all together. We do have quite a few board members here with the Pasco Chamber, and so if you could just raise your hand if you're part of the Pasco Chamber board, and I'm going to jump into some of the past presidents are here, so but I do see a lot of our faces, and there's James and a few other, and Tim. But past presidents, we have a few of those joining us today, and I'd like to introduce them. So Jason Hogue with American Family Insurance. Lance Hobson was supposed to be here. I haven't seen him yet. Rob D. Piazza, Kim Fall, Ryan Brault, Janice Hastings, and Daryl Ebert. So thank you for continuing your support of the Pasco Chamber, and let's give them the recognition they deserve. A couple updates that what's going on with the Pasco Chamber that I'd like to. Oh, and Kevin Williams. Hey, Kevin, you didn't speak up. So Kevin Williams, past president. But wanted to also talk a little bit about some of our events that we have that are coming up and that we just had. If you missed it in December, we had our annual nonprofit showcase where we had an excellent turnout, a little change of program of how we did it. We didn't have a luncheon, we just kind of had a trade show, so it gave everyone that participated a chance to meet all the nonprofits. Three Rivers Community Foundation helped immensely putting all those donations together, and we're still working on that. As a matter of fact, just got another donation today, so and it wouldn't have happened as well too without the support of GISA and Amazon making this happen. So we see some great things in the future. So it's a annual thing that we'll do in December every year at the Red Lion. And then in just a couple weeks, probably less than it seems like right when you flip the calendar, boy, time flies, and you forget to how quickly everything goes. And one thing that I don't want you to forget is the Ag Hall of Fame is coming up. So if you haven't made your reservation, we still have time for that, but it's a really great event that the Pasco Chamber and the Board of Directors as well as the Ag Hall of Fame Committee, is proud to present. This will be the 23rd year, I believe, of the Ag Hall of Fame. If you haven't had an opportunity to attend the gala, I encourage you to do so. It really is great story sharing and meeting some folks, and just a great time of year to get together. Port of Pasco has been a lockstep with us and helping us sponsor that event, so we really appreciate all their support. However, our famed MC, Randy Hayden, is going to be out of town that day, so Buck Taft is, who is the airport director, will be filling in those shoes. I don't see Buck. I'm surprised he hasn't bugged me for a draft script yet, but rest assured, it will be a great event. We are changing it up a little bit as well, too. Reception and program starts at the same time. However, instead of a plated event, we're going to have the Red Lion do their excellent, top-notch prime rib buffet dinner. So it's going to be something a little bit new. The layout will be different. We have some interesting new things that we're going to share as well, too. So that's January 18th. You can register on our website, pascochamber.org. So now I'd like to invite Delt Clark, who is our president, to come up. We have some new members that we'd like to present plaques to. Once I read your name and your company, please come up and right here in front of the table here, and we're going to present you your new Pasco Chamber plaque as well as take a picture. So Jody Hensley with Pape Material Handling. Jody, there's Jody. If we haven't met yet, hi Jody. We've spoken a few times. We have Amy Marinoni. Did I pronounce your last name right, Amy? Close enough. Close enough. Lutheran Community Services. Dwayne Howard, who is on our board, but just haven't had a chance to give him his plaque yet with Big D's, is here as well. And we have a new member that's just showing up here today, Ryan Jacobs, and it's with the, help me again, I know it's the Combat Rat Car Club. Okay, yes, I knew it was a tongue twister. So please welcome the new members of the Pasco Chamber of Commerce. If you know of anyone that maybe has some interest in joining the Pasco Chamber, or they want to learn a little bit more, feel free to invite them to one of our luncheons. One of the things that we do is if there is a company owner or a business that has some interests, let us know and we comp the meal for them so that they have a chance to experience some of the great things that we're able to provide for our community and some of the great topics that we have as well too. With that, I'm going to introduce it to Delt Clark, who is with Carpenter Drilling. He is the president of the Pasco Chamber from, let's see, this board term 2023 to 2024. He's almost halfway through. So with that, please welcome Delt.
Thank you, Colin. All right. Thank you, everybody, for making it today, and congratulations to the new members. We always like to see new members. Well, today I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Matt Decker and Lieutenant Chad Pettyjohn. Lieutenant Decker has 15 years of dedicated service to the Pasco Police from 2008 to 2023, with experience gained in both Pasco Police Department as well as the Anne Arundel County Police Department in Maryland. Lieutenant Decker was promoted in July of 2023 and has had leadership experience in various other roles during his service to the community, most notably as a sergeant for the Pasco Police Department and a corporal at the Anne Arundel County. Lieutenant Chad Pettyjohn has lived in the Tri-Cities since 2000 and lives here with his wife of 21 years and 7 children. He has been an officer with the Pasco Police Department since 2005. Over his 18-year career, has served as a patrol officer, a field training officer, street crimes detective, patrol sergeant, and training sergeant. He is currently assigned as the patrol lieutenant over District 1. I'd like to introduce them. Come on up and give us this great presentation you have.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Like you said, I am Lieutenant Chad Pettyjohn, and this is my counterpart here, Matthew Decker. Before we get started, I just want to share a little story with you guys, and I want to share this story. The purpose is kind of paint a picture for you guys about how we are teaching our officers to solve problems when they get calls for service out in the community. So a couple weeks ago, we had an officer that was at a local business here in town, and for another reason. And while he was there, he was alerted to a concern from the business of a person trespassing. And they tried to get him to move along and they wouldn't listen, so they had the officer come do it. And the officer moved him along. But the individual, which is oftentimes the case, he kind of wanted to come back instead of leaving. And so the officer could have just arrested the individual, but instead, what he did is he took the time to talk to him, and the individual was able to give him a phone number for his mom. So the officer called that individual's mother and learned that that individual was supposed to be at a rehab center in Spokane. He had no clue how he even got into Pasco. So the officer was able to work through this problem, and the local business provided a sack lunch for that individual. We got him to the bus station, checked on him a few hours, got him onto the bus, and then we found out from the rehab center later that that individual did make it back into rehab and was successful back into rehab. So yeah, that's a pretty cool story. So we wanted to share that with you guys, and you'll see as we go through the presentation, I'll point back to this a couple times to talk about why, but that's just a picture what I want you guys to understand of what we teach our officers every day of how to solve problems and address community concerns outside of just arresting somebody, because sometimes that is the right solution, and sometimes we can have awesome stories like this.
Good afternoon. So I'm going to cover some goals today. We're going to try to keep this fairly brief. I know you guys just had lunch and you're probably partially asleep, so I got two good dad jokes for you. One, the phrase, one man's trash is another man's treasure, is a beautiful phrase, but a horrible way to find out you were adopted. And then, I was going to tell some unemployment jokes for the Chamber of Commerce here, but they just didn't work, so I'm not going to tell them. See, there's some mothers in here that are doing face palms, and there are dads that are laughing, so it worked. All right, here we go. So what we're going to discuss today is a general overview. We're going to save time for questions at the end. So introduction to district policing. What is it? Chad here is going to cover that. Why do we have it? Why are we moving into it now? The Business Watch objectives. What can we do for you? What is our goal? We're going to explain this very briefly for what we want to do for you. But what are some of the things that we want to accomplish doing this? And most of that's going to be communication, and we're going to hit some of those key things in here. The components of Business Watch, how we're going to conduct our meetings, what are the things that we're going to be doing for you, and what are some of the major problems. And then the benefits, obviously, what can we do for you, what's the buy-in for it, and how are we going to accomplish those things, and what are you going to get out of it from us? We're going to reorganizing how we're looking at this.
So I have a slide up here about district policing at the police department. Is our guy that introduced us shared with us that I'm the lieutenant over District 1. I'll show you a map here in a second of what that means. Lieutenant Decker here is over District 2. And then we also have Lieutenant Groom, who's a part of this program as well, is over our professional standards division. So kind of behind the scenes and dealing with professional standards, policies, training, procedures, accreditation, things of that nature. So when we talk about district policing, I want to kind of give a little background about why we landed to where we're at today and how we got here. So everybody in this room is very aware of the immense growth that the city of Pasco has experienced over the last couple of decades. When I started here in 2005, Road 68 was the track, a gas station, and yokes, and that was about it. Not much else was out there. And so the way we've policed this community has to change, right, as we grow. You guys all get that. And our resources are limited as we continue to expand with everything that's happening. So a few years ago, the council afforded us the opportunity to go through a strategic plan. An outside company came and took a look at what we're doing in the city of Pasco Police Department. And they took an examination, deep dive into everything we do. They talked to everybody. And what came out of that, to make a really long story short, was that we had to make some changes, some strategic changes to help allocate our resources more strategically so that we can combat the problems that the city is facing and we can grow with the future. Coming from that strategic plan is district policing. So we are strategically move the city into 2 districts so that we can allocate resources to combat problems that are unique to the different parts of the city. The concerns that are facing businesses downtown, while some of them may be the same, some are really different than Mr. Grimm's here up on Road 68, or one of yours out on Road 100. And so if you see here, I know you can't see the map, and that's kind of by design because that's not the point with the specific streets. But if you see the blue line in the middle, that is the cable bridge, or the blue bridge. It comes up right here, and then this is the freeway right here. So the blue bridge, Highway 395, is the line that puts District 1 is east of that, and then District 2, where Lieutenant Decker is west of that. Everything east of Highway 395 and Road 36, include the airport, falls into District 1, and then everything west of Highway 395, west of the airport, west of Road 36, falls into District 2. The reason we share that with you is as we walk into Business Watch meetings, we will have them divided up and separated into the two different districts. So as we communicate concerns and the things that we're going to talk about here, District 1 will be things that you'll communicate with me, and if you come to the meetings, that's what you're going to see there. We'll both be there because we're all one team. However, it's going to be, that's who's going to take charge for those things.
Okay, we're going to break this up and just briefly cover the Business Watch objectives. So I'll go through these one at a time here. I'll cover crime prevention first. Okay, so main objective 4 is crime prevention. Obviously, you want to reduce crime in your areas, generally your businesses. Your guys' crimes for businesses is generally a little different than it is for, say, a residential area, obviously. So what we're really going to stress for here is nuisance crimes and things that are major issues, such as, I'm sure I'm going to get questions on this, the transient issue we're having here in Pasco. I have answers. But those kinds of things, information we want to share during a Business Watch meeting, or things on how to improve that quality of life for you, that's your business, and what's good for your business, what's good for Pasco is good for your business, and get everybody in there and increase safety and security. That drives everything, right? But there are different avenues to go and to explore than some of the conventional ones that we have had.
Got it? Mm-hmm. Nope. This next slide for me, thank you. So the next objective after crime prevention that we hope to accomplish with launching Business Watch is to improve our community engagement. One of our primary goals with our local business owners and organizations that you guys represent in here is to foster a relationship where we trust each other and we can have open communication with each other. We can tackle some of the problems that you're facing. And we want to break down those barriers that might exist. It's a lot easier if you have to have open communication when you trust someone, you've had a cup of coffee with them, you've met with them, you have a text thread open with them already, you've emailed with them, things of that nature. They've been in your business, you've seen what they're doing, you understand how they're going to respond. So we want to build that relationship and foster that partnership with you guys. And part of that too with the community engagement is we do have limited resources for the police department. So as we are responding to your problems, we do want to encourage participation in some of the activities and some of the crime prevention efforts that we are taking as an organization, and we don't want to just do them without your input as well. Next slide for me, please.
Okay, information sharing. So this was a big piece. This is what a majority of what this Business Watch is communication with us, and then keeping that flow of communication open so it's direct. You guys sharing what's going on in your businesses is extremely important to us. I can't fix what I don't know. Now, generally what happens is just, I call it the husband effect. When your wife tells you about something, as the officer comes there and she tells you, we have to go to your mother's and have dinner, and then the day comes up and you're like, where are we going? We're going to my mother. I told you about this. And I don't remember this conversation happening. So that's kind of what happens with an officer when he goes to handle a complaint. It just gets shuffled and sometimes gets lost in the communication when he's handling, the 100 calls he has during a week to do that. So when you guys come to these meetings, we're going to sit and we're going to talk, and we're going to open it up. And we're going to say, what is going on in your business? What is going on in your area? What is happening? I'll give you an example like Walmart. They constantly provide us with digital photographs, things that are happening, guys that will continually come in there and shoplift, things that are happening in their parking lot. They share that with the officers. Now, most of the time, I'm going to say all, because sometimes things does get lost. But those pictures come up and guys recognize those individuals, suspects from other cases in the city. Could be burglaries, could be something else. That all happens from us sharing information and not getting lost in the shuffle. The big thing for being there at this meeting is to tell us what's going on, how can we help you, address your problem, and then we'll discuss later how we're going to follow up with that and say, what have we done, how we made an improvement for you, what hasn't worked. But that's all going to be us sitting in a room and talking to Mrs. Watcher. It doesn't even have to be that. Chad and I are available to you at all times. We have business cards here. We'll have that one slide he had. We'll bring it back up so you can use it for the QR code and have our information. But we want you to reach out and talk to us. If you want something done, we have to know about it. And I think that's part of the issues that's come up with. I don't want to bother the police for that. That is the purpose of this. We have to have the community involvement, have to have you guys tell us what's happening, and we will come up with come up with a solution to the problem.
Next slide before we go on. So some of the components of the Business Watch program, we've got 4 listed that we're going to dive into. I'm going to cover the first 2 here. We have district resource officers. Some of you in here might be familiar with the area resource officer program that we've been running at the Pasco Police Department for a number of years now. And we are changing that name to district resource officers. We've got 1 officer responsible in each district that does not respond to the radio like a normal patrol officer, but instead they have their time free to help work with Business Watch. So if you're not seeing myself or Lieutenant Decker there, you'll see we're calling them DROs, or District Resource Officers, President Officer Mendoza and Officer Michelle. Thankfully, both of them are bilingual, so we can address anybody English or Spanish speaking. They'll be able to be responsive and help deal with some of the proactive changes, and they'll be able to help find solutions to some of the issues. Sometimes the solution is going to be 100% square on police. Sometimes the solution may be with another department in the city, and I don't expect everyone in here to know which department to call every single time that they have a concern. If we have that relationship, we know who the different departments, and it may not even be within the city, it may be something with the county or another organization that can help address the concern. But with the DROs as part of the components of this Business Watch is we will be able to increase the customer service throughout the city. So the different departments in the city that are putting in that hard work, I know their number, we can get you in touch with them. We're gonna bring some of these representatives from these departments to the Business Watch meeting. So if we have a concern about traffic, or if you have a concern about animals or whatever it be, we can bring those different departments in to the meetings. Training is gonna be another component of Business Watch. A lot of times businesses reach out to the police department, they want training on how to deal with shoplifting. What is the police department gonna do when we show up, or how can I prevent that? Active threats. What can I do as an organization to deal with an active threat to train my employees on this? We do that frequently for schools. We've done that for some of our larger businesses. We're gonna have training sessions for you, members of our Business Watch, to be able to come and attend and bring their employees to get active threat training. Then you can take back those principles that we're gonna teach at that, and you can apply them specifically to your space. We're gonna have training on how to deal with when should I call the police, what happens when I call the police, and all sorts of things. And part of the communication piece that Matt was talking about is you'll be able to help drive that. Hey, I need some training in this area, or here's a concern that we have. How can you guys help meet that? Matt?
So collaboration is exactly what I just talked about with the communication piece. We have to work together. And that doesn't just mean the police department. I can't solve all the problems. I can't have the officer solve some of the problems that you deal with. A lot of them happen to be civil. A lot of them happen to do with a lot of the PMCs that we have in the city that we live in. So we're going to collaborate to get the job done by working with other departments of the city, Public Works. We're going to work with code enforcement, find other options to solve problems. We're not just going to aim at dismissal of we're going to lock people up or cite things. If it's appropriate, we will, but we want to solve your problem. And if that means the officer, the DO, the district resource officer, myself, we're going to reach out to another part of the city to help solve your problem, because that is the city you live in. And that is, we are all working together under one team. That's what we're going to do. So, pretty self-explanatory. The community awareness piece of it, we have probably one of the best well-known Facebook pages. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's pretty good. It's an extremely powerful tool. Chief Roski was talking about this last week of how powerful that tool is. When we have, I'll give you an example of and the purpose of it, I'm trying to say, is just when we put something on there, generally we get a good response. We had an issue where we had a lost child, and one of the officers, she's going through the right progression, just didn't hit it right when she should have. She threw it up on our Facebook page to find this child. There's some steps that we had to get with, and the sergeant talked to her. But as soon as we put that on there, Chief Roski and Captain Paramore had text messages from every agency in the Tri-Cities to send officers to come help. That's how powerful that social media page is. And we had community members coming out to saying they wanted to form a search party to help us with that. So just as an example of what that can do. As far as the rest of it, we have, we're putting Gabriela Sanchez is putting together flyers for us. She's going to put out so you guys have all the information you need. But that's the biggest thing, is just letting everybody know what's going on and pushing it out social media, because that's what everyone communicates these days, and that's how you guys will be able to communicate with us as well. Next slide. Okay, we're going to quickly touch on this, the benefits of it. Reduction in crime rates, we've already talked about. The more you tell us, the more we can help you. So the more we have a problem, we call it hotspot policing. Some things we're doing in district policing is we have a problem there, we identify it, and we'll send all the resources to handle that option. The reason district policing is set up the way it is so that when we have a problem in an area, we can allocate those resources that don't have such a big problem and stick them to that one function. So I'll give you an example. If you're having let's just say you're having a problem with robberies in a certain area of the city for your businesses. Well, instead of having officers stay in one area that's not having that major of effect, and we have time and the resources to allocate, we're going to send them all to that area where we're having those robberies, and we're going to pinpoint it so we can catch that guy that's doing it and then get him out of the equation. And then you should see a reduction in your crime rate, right, for that certain crime. But that's what we're trying to do for that. So that obvious benefit, and the more we know, the more we can help you. Increase community trust. So that is, I'm not naive to think you just trust us, right? That'd be ridiculous. I hope you do trust your police department. What I know is I want to earn it. And I know you have to own your failures, and we have to own what we do, right? So when we come to these meetings, and I hope you do, and we talk about, I want to earn your trust and I want to solve your problem, and you come to me to this meeting and say, this is my problem, Lieutenant Decker, or my DRO, or Chad, and I say, okay, let's come up with some issues, let's come up with some responses, and let's solve your problem. And we come back to the table quarterly, have this meeting, and I say, did we solve your problem? Yes or no? If I didn't, we own that. That's my fault. I can do better, right? But I'm going to earn it from you, so I'm hoping we can solve that issue and get you the resources you need and realize your police department in this city cares about you, we care about your business, and we care about solving your problems. So that's how we're going to earn your trust. I'm not expecting you to give it outright. The quick and effective responses, that just goes hand in hand. The more you communicate with me, the more I know you have a problem, the more I can allocate resources to it. You call me on the phone. I've had a wonderful lady who owns part of the property up there off of 68 call me, because she lives part-time, she lives in Oregon, she works all over, but she calls and tells me, Lieutenant Decker, still have issues with transients that are sleeping in behind the dumpsters and doing some other things that you wouldn't want behind your business. And I've allocated some resources to that to try to solve the problem. And as we do that, as we're in the area and you see us more, we're going to suppress that kind of problem, because nobody wants to do things when we're around. They always do it when we're not, right? Where's a cop when you need one? But that is the point. The more you tell us, the more information I can get, the better I can solve those problems. And those officers that are working on the road are not going to get lost in the shuffle, because they're going to have the information that you give me that's going to go to the district officer, that's going to just keep going up and down the chain of command until that stops. And they'll be more familiar with that area and what's happening.
Those bottom three there, we've kind of touched on, kind of self-explanatory, but we do recognize safer business environment for you and for us as an economic impact on your business. If your employees feel safer, if you're safer, if you have a reduction in crime, that's going to help your business, and it's also going to increase customers wanting to come out to your business as well. The training aspect, obviously, if we can provide some free training for you to help out that's relevant, that you guys help drive, that's also a big benefit. And then, like we've touched on, the information sharing. Colin, can you go to the next one for me? I'm going to throw a slide up here. I know you can't quite read all that. I have about 50 copies of that one. I can get more that we'll hand out to you. There's a QR code on this. This is, if you scan this, it's going to require, because it does have some sensitive information like your name and your phone number we're going to ask for. If you want to participate in the Business Watch program, you want to come get emails or about when we're going to have our Business Watch meetings. You want to get information, contact information with the lieutenants. If you scan this QR code and sign up, then what it's going to do is it's going to send an email to the two of us, and then we can get you signed up to make sure you get that information. It does require a quick sign-in because of the fact that it has to have your name and your phone number and your address and your business information on there. So, and I'll give you a paper copy if you're not able to do that now, right now, and you can get that later, don't worry about it. If you go to the next one for me, we do have 2 meeting announcement slides. This is the first one for District 1 meeting announcement. So if your business is in both, come to both. If you want to come to both anyway, come to both. If your business is in District 1, you want to come talk to us, this is, we're going to do the first meeting. It's going to be at the Moose Lodge, 2617 Sylvester, on Tuesday, February 6th from 1 to 2 p.m. And if you sign up, you'll get an email announcement letting you know that this is coming. And we'll move these around, so if you're interested, you have a space, and you're interested in sharing your space with the host a meeting, or you have an idea for a community space where we can have a meeting, the idea is to have these in the different districts in the neighborhoods where your businesses are, instead of having you come to the police department. Some of our trainings will be at the police department, just because of space and some of the resources we have, but we want the meetings to be out with you guys. If you go to the next one, it'll be the District 2 meeting announcement, Tuesday, February 20th from 1 to 2 p.m. So if you are west of Highway 395, if you're in the western part of the city, at the Hapo Center, 6600 Burden Boulevard, 1 to 2 p.m. on Tuesday, February 20th. We'll have a nice sign up you'll be able to tell when you walk into the Hapo Center which way that is. And again, that QR code is the same one for all of them. It just sends you to the page to sign in for that. If you could go to the next one for me, Colin.
If I could just add to that. So that was, that space was donated by the track. Very much appreciated by the Hapo Center. It was also, I was also offered room to donate by the Courtyard Marriott. The collaboration we've already got with what's going on to ask just to borrow a room for an hour has just been phenomenal, and we really appreciate you guys are already doing a whole lot for us. And the purpose is to get around so we all can network and talk and see each other's businesses and see what you have and that kind of thing. So really appreciate it. Here's our contact information. I've got business cards as well. It's on the flyer we can hand out here in a minute. You take a picture of that if you want. Get a hold of us. Come meet us. It's got my phone number on there and Matt's phone number, our email. You can text those numbers. You can call them. You can email us any way you want. Come up and talk to us afterward. What we want to do right now is we've saved enough time. We have some time for some questions. If anyone has, Colin's got the microphone. He can bring you the microphone so everyone can hear your question. Charles is first. Thank you, Charles.
Of course. Thanks.
Speechless.
No,
I can hear you, Charles.
I've got a lot to say, as you well know. But no, my question is really just in regards to, this relationship that we have as businesses and the police. And, just love a lot of what you said about trying to foster that relationship, the communication. One thing I've always wondered, and I don't know if you have the resources, if it's even possible due to privacy laws and that kind of stuff, but sometimes when we turn over what we think are great images, great description, all that, we never hear what happened. And honestly, a lot of times our employees will even ask, hey, whatever happened with that? And we kind of, shrug our shoulders, I don't know. So, you guys may not even have the resources to follow up on every single tip that you're ever given. But is there a way, like we as businesses can contact you guys to find out, hey, did you ever get that guy or something like that? Plus, it would be really good for business morale, too, to say, wow, they got the guy, and, would obviously put a great light on you guys. And
So there's two components there I'll address to what Charles asked there, and thank you, Charles. The first is just when your businesses share information with us, maybe it's a photograph or digital evidence of a crime or things of that nature. Sometimes we're able to do amazing things with that, and sometimes we can't, and it's super complicated, right? As many different factors drive what we can do with that. And one of the components of Business Watch is you're going to help learn as businesses, what are the things as a business you can do to help a case be successful? What are some things that you could do as a business that could actually hinder that prosecution or investigation of that case? What's going to happen when the police show up when you call 911 for maybe it's a shoplift or graffiti? Where does that investigation go? How many resources do you have to put into that? All those questions, as you participate in this program, that's the training we're going to be providing. You're going to actually have the officers that are coming to your businesses will be in attendance to some of these meetings. The second component of that is that collaboration with us, that information sharing. When you come to these meetings, if we know about this problem, I'm going to be able to present that information back to you. You're going to be able to reach out to me, email me, text us, say, I need to follow up on this case. What's going on with it? Absolutely. You're either hear from myself or from one of the district resource officers or a district officer, because that is one of the pieces we want to drive. That does help morale. That does help you guys understand, okay, if I can make this tweak next time, or if I can do this, if I call sooner, these are things that we can address. So 100%, that is something we want to hit with this. Did I get you? Thanks, Charles. Other questions? Over here.
Yeah, thanks to both of you. Really forward-looking approach that you're taking to community policing. That sounds great, and I know as a port with many businesses, we really appreciate that. So I think we've all noted that the county's having funding issues, resource issues, as you are somewhat as well, on the county's resources to be able to help on the prosecution and other county parts of your work. Can you tell us a little bit how that's impacting you and what might be done to help improve that?
Yeah. You want it?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Just gonna speak.
Thank you.
I'm just up here for eye candy. I just do all the work.
Without getting it too deep into it, I can tell you that the concerns that are going on there with funding and stuff for the county aren't really having a significant impact on, or not having any impact on the decision making in the field of the arrests that we're going to make or the investigation we're going to make, because we're moving forward with that no matter what's going to happen with it after the fact. We're still going to do a quality investigation, so we're going to do everything we can to gather the facts of that and present them to the prosecutor's office or to the court so they can make a determination to move forward. And when it comes to the resources for prosecuting in municipal court for like your trespassing and your shoplifts and those things of that nature, there's been zero impact with that. We're able to move forward and arrest people just as frequently as we ever have. We're able to solve those problems. That story I gave at the start, yeah, that's not always what we do. Sometimes the right answer is arresting that individual and putting them in jail and taking care of them, getting them prosecuted. And maybe they end up serving some time, or maybe they get some probation, or maybe they have some court mandated treatment. And those things aren't impacted at all by that. We're able to still move forward with that. But sometimes it is going to be more beneficial for the city for us to solve that problem. That individual, by getting them out of Pasco, they're no longer a drain on Pasco resources. They're not in our jail. They're not going to our hospital. And instead they can get potentially, hopefully for like that individual from that story gets some help so that they can recover from that and not have a financial impact on wherever they land, whether it be back in Pasco. Thankfully, we do have like our police foundation to help us fund some things that we can do as a city that we couldn't do without them. So we can't do it with taxpayer funds, but we can help, like you talked about, relocating some individuals, getting them out of Pasco. So instead of being a drain in Pasco, we can say, where do you have a support structure? Where do you have people that can help you? And we can relocate them to their family. Maybe if they're in Spokane, or he talked about somewhere warmer or whatever it be, we can get them out of here and back to where they do have resources. Address that well enough? Okay. Yes, ma'am. It might work, we'll see.
We can hear you.
Hi, I'm Abby Cameron with Three Rivers Community Foundation. Kind of branching off of something that Randy asked, I imagine one of the issues that will come up in Business Watch frequently is the unhoused and homeless population that certainly interacts with our business community. We're heading into, coming up next week, a really severe cold snap that's going to impact those individuals. I just kind of can't give up the opportunity to ask you what the PD response is. Maybe the city response. I know we have some folks from the city here as well. What resources are going to be available to help those folks get to warming shelters or other supports that they may need in this frigid time that's coming?
So we're actually very well equipped with it. So I was the homeless liaison officer on the shift. I was the sergeant in charge of that when I was doing it. So this city provides numerous resources. We actually, thanks to, I'll answer this in two parts. The City Council passed some very good PMC legislation to help us with unauthorized camping downtown and some other issues.
Can you define that?
Unauthorized camping?
Pasco Municipal.
Oh, the PMC, the Pasco Municipal Code, I'm sorry. See, police, we talking jargon. You don't know what the heck I'm talking about for half an hour if we're talking all this jargon. So they passed some very good laws which helped us combat some of the issues we've had with the transient populations coming in that other cities don't have because they haven't passed it. So it took a little bit of a hiatus for a little bit after the Ninth Circuit's grants pass decision came down, but Ours was written well enough that we were actually doing to handle that. Now, the reason I say that is because we don't just go out there and say you're unauthorized camping, you're violating the Pasco Municipal Code. There are steps we take. For instance, the first contact that my officers will have with that individual is identification, telling him what he's doing, why you can't do it here. Then we hand them a page long of resources. We tell them the mission is open, that also during the cold times when it drops below 40,
Freezing.
Buffalo for us, when it goes freezing, they let everybody into their center at night, regardless, depending on how they behave themselves, and we get called there often, right? We also have, the city has warming centers and that kind of thing. We can get them to solve a problem. The officers are already doing it. On nights where they come up with someone that's shivering in the cold, has nowhere else to go, we look for a problem to get them somewhere. That is really when those stories come up, like, yes, you have a warrant out of somewhere that's non-extraditable, you have no place else to go, we can't take you to jail, you haven't done anything, we'll try to find an option, right? But that PMC that already exists, we have to contact them, we get their information, we provide them with resources, try to provide them with a lodging, a decision. There are free lodgings on there. The mission is open. We have bus fare that's provided by our wonderful Pasco Police Foundation that will, for free, give them a bus ticket somewhere. Camp Hope that's in Yakima, we'll provide them with a bus ticket there. We communicate with them, and they'll go over there where they are provided shelter and a way to get on board. And there are other programs at the mission that aren't ours, but we get them over to the mission and set them up there. There are programs there to get them clean living, warm shelter, get them on a job. So we have those. As the winter time comes, this is just a normal cycle of life, if you will be, for cops, right? So we have to enforce the PMC to keep downtown clean, right? But this is where we enter this time where we have an increase in burglaries and other kinds of things that happen because they try to find warm places. But when we do contact them, if the correct thing is jail, yes, it will be. But if it's it's not such thing as a trespass where they're on the sidewalk in an alcove and we need to solve that problem and get there somewhere else, that's what we do. So we have already been doing it for years. So those programs exist. They're just not very popular because no one really talks about those things, but they are out there doing it, and we have dedicated homeless liaison officers. Does that answer your question mostly?
That's kind of why I asked.
Yeah, we have it. Pasco is ahead of the curve at that. So
Just a quick follow-up on that as well, as he's sharing some of these things. The homelessness, obviously, I understand, that's a significant concern for us. And the entire city is addressing this. I know it's something that's on our council's radar, city manager's office is addressing this, and it's not just a police solution to this. That's the beauty of the Business Watch program, though, is it's not just going to be limited to police solutions. Some of you in this very room have resources available that are maybe underused, that you can bring that information. That information sharing is two ways. They're going to do that. We have programs like our community care fund we're talking about where some of you businesses in here want to help contribute funds for some of these things with our police foundation. And so we'll be able to share that information with you. We have that today if you want to get it, and then we can also share it with you we'll have those flyers and all the information at all of our meetings and things of that nature. So just want to make sure we cover that. What other question? I saw another hand right here.
Along those same lines, so if we see an individual homeless, we call the non-emergency number, or how does that work? I imagine that'd be.
yes, you can call in.
It's a good question. So yeah, if you just see somebody that, I see a homeless, let's call it. No, but what I do want you to do is if you have a quality of life concern, if your business is being impacted by this, if you are concerned about criminal activity, if you do want that person to get some resources, absolutely reach out to us. The non-emergency business line for our dispatch center is one resource. You can get a hold of us or district resource officers. We can help address it if it's something bigger than just a single individual, like maybe proactively what can we do if we have a bunch of people in that area. But 100% you can call us because we can get them those resources. We have the business, we have the cards with it. We have relationships with a lot of those organizations already. A lot of our officers are doing it frequently, so on a first name basis with some of these, and they might know, okay, if this person's a vet, this is who I need to call, or if this person, whatever it is that they're experiencing, that we can get that resource to them. So 100%.
Before we wrap up, I thought maybe this would be a good opportunity if you guys could provide some information about the Pasco Police Foundation, because I know that there was an effort to raise some funds, but maybe give a little background and how maybe people in the room could get involved.
I could do that, but I think there's someone in this room that is going to be much more situated and better to do that for you. I want to introduce you guys. She already did a little bit. This is Lauren. She works with the Police Foundation and she works with the police department. So go ahead, Lauren.
Yep, I'm the excited one. I get to wear 2 hats with this. I get to work with these guys and that whole table over there every day of the week. But I also get to work right alongside some of our local business members and community members that are a part of the board of the Pasco Police Foundation. This is a board comprised of people that are really passionate about making sure that our officers have the resources they need to help community members in need. They're also very passionate about making sure that our officers get the innovative training that might come along our way. I'm not sure if you heard about our jiu-jitsu training that was kind of started about a year and a half ago. They really helped pilot a program that's now it's changing the industry of law enforcement and training in certain things. So this group is really dedicated to the Pasco Police Department and making sure also that the people in our community that are experiencing issues where they may need food assistance, or like you mentioned, traveling to where we find a family member that they can come home to, that there's funds available for these officers to be able to send that person home, to family. So there's our benevolence fund, or what he alluded to, that's called the Pasco Cares Fund, is probably the most pronounced and most visible fund that people donate to. What that provides is gift cards and a lockbox that sergeants, when an officer identifies a need in the community, they bring that to their sergeant, and they have funds immediately available to buy the diapers, buy the gas, buy the food, get somebody that's stuck traveling. Sometimes there's an issue in the middle of the night where there might be a domestic, might be 1 a.m., and our officers identify that maybe just splitting these people that are in this situation up for the evening might be the best solution. And actually the Red Line here, we have a relationship where we can bring someone in and the foundation can give them a place to stay that's safe overnight. Maybe that's the solution. So the Pasco Police Foundation is newly formed. It's only been in existence to about late 2018. And then lovely COVID hit, so we kind of had a lull. But we've really ramped back up. And so if you have any questions, reach out to the lieutenants, reach out to me. But if you're passionate about the police department, this community, providing things like that, benevolence funds, training resources, community engagement. I don't know if anyone in this room's heard of the Family Field Day. We've had 2 events of these that occur at Chiawana High School. We had 500 kids at this last scenario where the whole purpose was to get our officers with these youth to engage, have fun. There was dunk tank, water, games, toys, right? Just to get the youth interacting with our officers. So that's another mechanism of the foundation. So community, benevolence, our officers, and training and innovation. So there are some pamphlets I believe that they have that talk about that. You can always email me or these guys, and we can get you some information on that.
Yeah. So we could talk about this stuff with you guys for hours easily. There's 4 more police officers in the back there. Lieutenant Decker and myself are available to be just respectful of you guys' time. It is 1 o'clock. So we're available afterward to answer any questions you have if you want to come up and chat with us to get a copy of that flyer or business card from us. Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. The Pasco Chamber will also put stuff up on our website, and we'll have all this information available as well. So if you didn't have time to get it here, we'll have it available for you. Once again, thank you so much, Lieutenant Matt Decker and Lieutenant Chad Pettyjohn, for that great presentation. We are going to do some giveaways here. So the first one, they're just one. One door prize, we have a $50 gift certificate to McGill's and a VA calendar, and that is to Janet Mick. Once again, as we're doing that, we'd like to thank the Red Lion for hosting the luncheon today. Thank you for PSC for filming today's presentations. And thank you, everybody, for coming out. Remember, next month, February 12th, we'll be back here. So bring somebody new if you can. Enjoyed seeing everybody. Thanks so much. Have a great day.